Hello, career-seeking professionals. So my name is Tony Nielsen, and I'm here today to talk about fixing your digital face, or thinking about your digital footprint and fixing some of your social media concerns so that when your future employees or authorities screen your profile, what they find is the you that is the one that you want to present to the world. So let's talk about your digital footprint. So what is exactly your digital footprint? Your digital footprint is the information about you that exists on the internet as a result of online activity. Now, mostly this is your own online activity, but not necessarily. The things that your friends or family or workplace post about you are also your digital footprint. So I want you to, for a moment, to think about what makes up your digital footprint, right? So do some brainstorming. Think about your Facebook posts, your Instagram, your tweets, your Snapchat, everything that you put online. Are you a Pinterest person? Are you a YouTube person? Do you have a Tumblr? All of these things go into your digital footprint. And when somebody is looking for you online, these are the types of things that they can see. So, why should you care about your digital footprint? Well, there are lots of reasons. I mean, let's talk realistically about why your digital footprint really matters. Universities use the digital footprint to check their applicants. Police and law enforcement agencies use the digital footprint in a number of crime investigations. The things that we leave online matter. If you put too much information out in the world, you could end up having your identity stolen. And the focus of our discussion today is going to be in the context of employment. There are no laws that prohibit reviewing an applicant's information or a candidate's social media in order to determine if they are going to get hired. And if you are interested in finding your dream job, it's probably important that you know that the studies say that 70% of employers are looking at your social media and your digital footprint before hiring. And more than 50% say that they found something that caused them to not hire a candidate. So this has a significant impact on your world. CareerBuilder is really good at surveying employers about social media and social media use. And so you might be asking yourself, well, why wouldn't I get hired based on my social media? And so this is a CareerBuilder survey. There are lots of reasons that I'm going to go over, but here's like the top 5 reasons that you might not get hired based on your social media posts. Maybe you have provocative or inappropriate photos and videos. So you might be asking yourself, well, what does that mean? Well, sexy time, guns, these things are highly undesirable for employers. The second is information about a candidate drinking or using drugs. So drug use is an obvious no-no, and you might be saying, drinking what? I have a glass of wine every now and again. Well, you have to use your common sense here. That's really not what we're talking about. But obviously pictures where you're littered in beer bottles would be a problem, or you're passed out, or there's just constant nonstop partying photos. Those could be a problem for the culture of your employer. Number 3, discriminatory comments related to race, religion, or gender. They don't want anything that's going to make them look socially bad or make customers leave their business. Remember, these are ultimately businesses. Number 4, candidates that badmouth their previous company or fellow employees. I mean, look, if you've done it before, you're likely to do it again, and they're really not looking for that type of PR. And then the last one is poor communication skills. You might ask yourself, like, what are they talking about? So a couple of things. First is profanity. For the most part, they would prefer if you're not posting up a bunch of profane or vulgar language. Going on rants about kind of anything in the world. They're not really looking for that type of employee. Spelling and grammar problems in your posts. You might think, this is my personal life. I can spell things however I want. That's true, but they're really trying to get a sense of, you know, how you conduct yourself in the world. And then unprofessional screen names, right? So, you know, who you are matters when you're online. And that's really important. Those are the top reasons that you might get passed over. So you might think, well, I already have a job, so I'm cool. Well, actually, no. Employers continue to screen even after you've been hired. So 50% of employers check up on their current employees, and it's pretty common. I mean, we have all seen the headlines these days of human beings fired from their job after posting something on their social media that made their employers look bad, or made the employee, untrustworthy, or cost the employer clients. So you should expect that your digital footprint matters even if you already have a job. All right, so what can you do now that you know the impact that your digital footprint or your social media presence can have on your life, and in particular your ability to find and keep employment? What can you do about it? So the first thing that a lot of us think of is to just run away, forget it. I'm going to get off my Twitter. I'm getting off Facebook. I always hated LinkedIn anyways, et cetera, et cetera. We think of all the things we're going to get off. But that is not effective. Running away will not help, because 50% of employers won't hire you if you don't have a profile. And you might be asking why. Well, the first is they're not looking for troglodytes. They want people who are good with computers and recognize that we live in a social media world, and that they're, a part of it. But second, they don't know what you're hiding, because the only people who don't have any digital footprint are people who are hiding and they're off the grid. So that's not what they're looking for either. All right. The truth is that even if you're living a really righteous life offline, that doesn't necessarily translate online. And so you have to cultivate your social media so that it reflects who you are in the world. So what do I mean? Well, it's time to take some initiative and screen your social media, or be your own social media hero. Fix your digital resume. Step one to fixing your digital face is you have to Google yourself. You have to know what's out there. That's step one. You can't be blissfully ignorant. So Google yourself and look at yourself across platforms. Companies are going to look at Facebook. They're going to look at Twitter. They're going to look at LinkedIn first, but they're also going to look across platforms. So you should too. If you're on Pinterest or Tumblr or YouTube or the Instagram, then you need to look at all of those things. So look at yourself across platforms. Nobody expects you to be a librarian. I mean, not unless you actually are a librarian. But what they are looking for is consistency across platforms. So if you tell them that you're shy and quiet, but you're partying like a rock star all weekend, then they don't think you're telling them the truth, right? Or if your Facebook shows that you're quiet, but your Instagram shows that you spend every weekend in Vegas, then it seems like maybe you're trying to fool people, and people aren't looking for dishonest employees. So what I mean is, if you say you're passionate about education reform, then your post should probably have something about education reform and not a bunch of food pics, though these desserts do look delicious. Step two, post with mindfulness and respect. You want your post to reflect your character. So think about what you're doing and what you're saying in the world, and imagine how it would feel if it was on the first page of the newspaper. This is really the easiest way to know whether or not you've gone too far, is how would you feel if it was published for everybody? Would you spend a lot of time telling people that they've taken it out of context and that they misunderstood you and that's not really what you meant? If so, don't post that. Step three, take charge of your photos. It doesn't work to just not be tagged in your photos anymore with facial recognition software. If your photo is out there and you don't want it out there, you need to ask somebody to take it down, or you need to make sure that when people are taking them that you realize that you don't really want them posted on social media. Right? Think about what you're doing in the world and where you're putting it. Also, change your cover photos. All right. Think about what people will see, even with all of your privacy settings set to the highest possible limit. They're still going to see your cover photo. So think about what you're putting out there in the world, and change your name to be your actual name. So instead of T-Bear, it makes more sense for your name to be Tony Nielsen, so that when people are looking for you, they can find you and they can find the you that you definitely want them to see. All right, so what do companies really want to see from you? I mean, that's really what we're doing here right now. It's time to actually cultivate our social media. We're going to take a bunch of things off. We're going to delete old posts that we don't want. We're going to delete things that we could have regrets about, pictures that we don't want, we're going to regret. Now, obviously, none of those things really go away. This is the pain that is the internet, but that's not a reason to not go through and do some deleting and clean up your accounts, because if you don't clean them up, other companies are going to see them. So what do companies really want to see? What should you put out there, right? Because not being out there is not an option. So what should you put out there? So the first thing is make sure that you are on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. Companies look here first to discover who you are. So you want to be on those 3 platforms, bare minimum. And you probably want to think about what you're posting and put some stuff about you on there and kind of be semi-active. You don't have to be incredibly active, but at least semi-active on those 3 platforms. What are you putting on there? So the first thing, you should put some things that you're passionate about on there. Basically, employers are just looking to see who you are as a person, and that's why they're looking on their social media, because they think it gives them a real snapshot of who you are and not just the person that you present when you're in a job interview. So what does that mean? The things that are your hobbies that you're really interested into, the people that you love and that you engage, the things that you do on weekends that are fun, and are the picture of who you want to be and kind of are actually in the world, right? We're not really looking to fool people here. We're just looking to show them who we are in the world. Because we're talking about the cultural fit for the company here. And so you want to fit as well. You don't want to go to a company that you don't fit the culture of and that makes you miserable, right? It works both ways. It's not just whether or not you fit for them. It's also whether or not they fit for you. Reflect on who you are, all right? And, think about what you're looking for in the future and your passion in the world, kind of put those posts out there. Companies are looking actually to see if you're kind of a creative and innovative person. Are you just sharing every fake news post that comes your way? That's no good. Or do you have like innovative and original thoughts, that you're sharing in the world? They're looking for some of those things. And then last but not least, consider following some of the people or businesses or brands that are relevant to your career area, right? Like, what are you trying to do in the world? And do you show interest in understanding those elements of the world? So those are some things that you should add to cultivate your social media. And with that, I think you're ready to get out there and try, research your digital footprint, assess it. Is it the good, the bad, or the ugly? Do some deleting, put some new pictures up, think about your posts, post carefully and mindfully, start posting about the things that you're passionate about in your career area, and stop thinking about your social media as something that's personal for you, because the fact that we have companies and government officials and just about everything that has ever existed in the world on social media means that, well, social media is not personal anymore.